Test. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Hahn, and I'm Chair of the Indianapolis Public Transportation Corporation. And we welcome you to our annual, what's not our annual meeting, our monthly meeting, the last of our annual meetings for 2025. And at this point in time, we'd like to do a roll call, and our brilliant Chief Legal Counsel, Bob Fry, will do the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think the word brilliant was in your script. I appreciate that. Directors, please indicate your attendance when I call your name. Director Smith. Director Slash. Director Quick.
Present.
Director Fagan. Director Wilson. Director Gardner.
Present.
Director Hahn.
Present.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Robert. Next is awards and commendations, and our President and CEO, Jennifer Purrs, will present any awards and commendations that we have tonight. So take it away.
Han, Jennifer Pierce, President and CEO. We'll start off, as we always do, with our safe drivers. So our November 2025 safe drivers are shown up on the screen. Congratulations to all of you. These folks were recognized for their safe driving for the month of November and received a National Safety Council patch, pin, and certificate. I'll highlight from that list Ricardo Oxley, who I feel like I've highlighted before. He's been great safe driving for a long time. 26 years of service to Indigo, and 16 of those for safe driving. So congratulations and thank you for your service, Mr. Oxley. Next, I will highlight our November Operations Employee of the Month, Sylvia Walker. Sylvia is in our radio control room as one of our dispatchers. She has, I received the following in her nomination. Sylvia Walker has an excellent attendance record and consistently takes the initiative to assist new operators who may be lost on their routes. Her work ethic is exceptional and she collaborates effectively with her coworkers. Sylvia provides guidance to help streamline operations in the radio room. Her dedication to her job sets a standard for her peers, and she maintains a high level of professionalism in every aspect of her work. Congratulations to Sylvia. And then we have a special guest who has not made it yet. So I'm going to hold this next one for when he arrives. But we are going to, at some point tonight, celebrate our ATU President Roy Lester as he retires at the end of this year. So if I can come back to that, Mr. Chairman, at some point, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Committee reports, item number 3. Without objection, we will enter into the record the Finance Committee report for its meeting on December 11th and the Service Committee report for its meeting on December the 12th. Any objections? Okay, let the record show there isn't, and they'll be entered into the record. Our next is a regular agenda. And we'll begin with action item A1, and that's consideration and approval of the board minutes from November 20th, 2025. Are there any questions or comments from the board after you've reviewed the minutes? Okay. Can I get a motion in consideration and approval of the November 20th, 2025 board minute meetings?
So moved.
Okay. There being a motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, let the record show no objection, and that will pass. Now we're going to go back to our awards and ceremony, right?
Thank
Jen?
you. We have a very special guest this afternoon and a very special recognition. Mr. Roy Lester is joining us tonight. For nearly 30 years, Mr. Lester has been a member of the Indigo family, playing several starring roles. In 1997, he started as a professional coach operator, driving a bus for the agency for about 13 years. But he actually started driving buses long before that even. When he was in his early 20s, he drove school buses, and after that, he drove for Indigo's paratransit contractor. He moved over to Indigo, making $9.75 an hour. Roy says for him, driving buses has always been about the people and helping them get to where they need to go. While driving for Indigo, Roy was always involved with ATU Local 1070. First, he was a union steward, then worked his way onto the executive board. He climbed the ladder to vice president before eventually being elected president in 2010. For the last 15 years as our union leader, along with Union Secretary Rachel Hill and the executive board, President Lester has diligently worked to serve the union members here at Indigo. His motto is "Together we are stronger," and he says he considers it a blessing to serve people. So you can guess what or who Roy will miss the most about his time here. It is the people. In his retirement, Roy is very much looking forward to spending quality time with his mother, who's 90 years young and still living on her own. Roy, we wish you plenty of rest, relaxation, quality time with your family. If you wouldn't mind joining us up front, we'd like to present you with a few tokens of our appreciation for your longstanding commitment to the agency. And I'll call the board members up to get a photograph. I'm going to read this plaque. It says, "With deep appreciation to Roy Lester for 28 years of service to Indigo, including 18 years of distinguished leadership as president of ATU Local 1070. Your dedication, compassion, and tireless advocacy have touched countless lives, strengthened the Indigo workforce, and elevated public transit in Indianapolis. Thank you for your partnership, leadership, and legacy, presented with deep gratitude by Indigo." By many photos. Get a photo with that too.
Come on.
Oh.
Thank you. All right. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I enjoyed my time here. Bus out there, but it's big.
Mr. Chair, just a point of order, I'd like to recognize that Director Slash, who was not here when we did roll call, did arrive about 4:08 PM.
Yes. Thank you. Good afternoon, board members. Andrea Rocha, Budget Manager for Indigo, and here to present action item A2. It is recommended that the IPTC Board of Directors authorize the approval of Resolution 2025-10, transferring appropriations and carry forward of outstanding encumbrances for fiscal year 2025. State guidelines allow the board to carry forward unpaid purchase orders at the end of the year. So this is a process that we do every year. And the benefit to Indigo is that once we roll these purchase orders into the next fiscal year, the expense will come out of the 2025 appropriations, preserving the 2026 budget for what we budgeted for next year. Alternatively, the board chooses not to approve this action, IPTC would not be able to use 2025 appropriations to pay for any outstanding purchase orders in 2026, which could negatively impact the 2026 budget. There is no fiscal impact on 2026 budget as these purchase orders are covered by 2025 budget. So in the next page, you can see the resolution. Thank you. And section 1 outlines the transfer in appropriations. We're going to transfer $3 million within the operating budget from personal services to other services and charges. Section 2 outlines the total amount that we are requesting authorization to roll forward, which is $334,411,056.20. Finally, in the last page, you can see a list. Oh, thank you. You can see a list with all of these outstanding encumbrances to be rolled forward, broken down by operating and capital categories, vendor names, and with the largest amounts tied to the Blue Line project. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Are there any questions or comments from the board members?
Yeah, I just have one question. Andrea, the three, in the action memo, it said 334 million. What was the number? I don't.
Yeah, $334,411,056.20.
And so the existing encumbrances are the 315 million, and then the 3 million that you're transferring over?
Yes, the 3 million is only for the transfer in appropriations.
Right.
The 334 millions, that is for the total amount that we are requesting to be rolled forward.
Okay. So the 315 is a part of that 334?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Just want to make sure I was on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? If not, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of Resolution 2025-10 to transfer and appropriations and carry forward of outstanding encumbrances for fiscal year 2025?
So moved.
All those,
Yeah.
go ahead, Bob.
Yeah,
sorry.
board members, because this is the adoption of a resolution, we need to do a roll call vote per your bylaws. So please indicate your vote on the present motion when I call your name. Director Slash, Director Quick, Director Fagan, Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Hahn.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Andrea. Next, we'll go to action item number 3, and that's consideration and approval of change order for the 1501 trench drains replacement project, which we've discussed in the past.
We have.
And Sarah Stens, Senior Project Manager, Capital Facilities Project, will make the presentation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sarah Stens, Senior Project Manager. This action item is for a recommendation that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to execute a change order, the third change order, with R.L. Turner for the amount of $126,395.50. If approved, this change order would bring our project total to $444,808.90. So as it was mentioned, we've been here before and we've discussed this project a few times. And this project began in the early parts of 2025 to address a deteriorating drainage system around our fuel lines at 1501 West Washington Street garage. If approved, this change order will give us the opportunity to complete the replacement and repair of all of that existing system. Throughout the initial excavation activities for the project, we ran into the existing fuel line and found that that fuel line was much shallower and not exactly where it was shown on our as-built drawings. This discovery caused us to have to go back to the drawing board with our designer of record and to come up with a new solution for being able to fix the issue that we had at hand. We have processed to date 2 change orders, one of which covered investigative camera work and of those plumbing lines and soil mitigation from hitting the fuel line. And then our second change order was to purchase the new materials needed to continue with the installment. This change order today would be able to get us across that finish line to finish those the last fuel lane and then the additional drain that is attached between the wash rack and the fuel lines. I'd be happy to answer any questions around this project specifically and kind of how we've come to this point, or any questions about how we plan to finish the project.
Thank you, Sarah. Are there any questions or comments from the board members? You may remember we went through this couple meetings ago?
More than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been closer to the summertime.
okay. Anyway, well, thanks. If there aren't any questions or comments, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of change order for the 1501 trench drains replacement project?
So moved.
Bob? We need to do a no, this one? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Record reflecting no opposition, this passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're up again.
Yeah,
Item-
you're seeing me 2 more
Action.
times.
A4, consideration and approval of change order for the CTC handrails project.
Yes. Hello again, Sarah Stens, Senior Project Manager. This action item is for a recommendation that the Board of Directors authorize President and CEO to execute a change order with Advanced Restoration Contractors Incorporated for an amount of $67,988.02. If approved, this change order would bring the project total to $475,567.46. So this is also an old project that's came before you all a while ago. believe it or not, we actually initiated this project in the summer of 2023.
Hmm.
And if you've been at the CTC at all in the past year and a half, you've seen these handrails installed, and hopefully you found them to be aesthetically pleasing. But kind of throughout the life of the rain garden project, the contractor ran into a decent amount of issues that were unforeseen in the field, some of which were items that were hidden behind the existing plates that sat along the edge, the detectable edge plates that you might have noticed. They had a kind of a rusted patina on them, and they would have been around all three sides of any exposed garden. And the intention was to put handrails in place to be able to provide a better level of safety for the public and being around those. Well, without proper as-built, once again, unfortunately, the contractor ran into some issues that we did not foresee in the planning of the project. And moving forward, we had them finish installing the handrails, and this change order is to cover those additional costs that came throughout the project. And if you'd like more details about what specifics there are that we ran into, I'd be happy to talk about them, or any questions about the contractor.
Okay, any questions?
Chairman, I do. Sarah,
Sure.
you're going to have to, I don't know a whole lot about construction, but this is the second time tonight I've heard that we've had problems with as-built
Yes,
drawings.
yes.
Whose responsibility why are we having problems with these as-built drawings, and whose responsibility would that be?
That's a great question. So I'll use the garage as just a starting example. So the as-built that we have would be the original contract drawings from 1984 when the building was built. And those set of drawings, when they're handed to the owner, are expected to be true and honest to what was installed. Well, a lot of things have changed since 1984. We've done a lot of projects. We've maybe changed things. If somebody does not update a drawing, though, with new information, then all we have is what's in front of us. And what ultimately is happening is information might not be getting collected accurately, or it might not be getting updated in a manner that is reflective of real life conditions. So for the case of the CTC, the original contractor would have been responsible to build the building and all of the site according to a set of drawings that prescribed exactly how to do so. But if they changed something, or let's say they didn't do something 100%. So for example, a concrete slab was supposed to be 4 inches, it only became 2 inches. If they don't document that on a document and give it to us, we assume they did the right thing and they gave us a 4-inch slab to work with. And then ultimately, when you start disassembling things, you start to find that things don't match. And then that's kind of what we're up against with some of these renovation projects.
So there's no way to assign responsibility. The contractor could have done it, could have been us, could have been, so
Yeah,
we're just
it
kind
could
of at a
have,
loss
it could
for
have
these
been
things? Okay.
definitely unfortunate. The only time I think you could find a direct person to blame is if something is brand spanking new and you go to change something on it on day 2 of having it and it's wrong. Then you could look at them and say, that's your fault. But otherwise, we own a little bit of it.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Sarah, are we updating, or are we kind of going through a process as we learn new information to update our
Yes.
documents?
And we're trying to also glean more information as we've been cutting open the slab at 1501 for the drain project, capturing things that are not on the drawings at all and trying to get those on the drawings. So we're trying to do our due diligence to bring us up to speed in the few spaces that we have available.
Okay, thank you.
And you may be interested to know too, on all of our capital projects now, we have an extensive closeout process where we make sure we receive all the as-built for red, purple, blue, all of those. We make sure that we have all of the actually constructed conditions documented. So this wouldn't be a problem for future generations.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Thank you, Sarah. Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of change order for the CTC handrails project?
So move.
Second.
There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any that are opposed, say nay. Let the record show there were no nays, and so that is approved. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I've got one more for you.
I know. A5 is consideration approval of north parking lot repaving contractor. And again, for the record, Sarah Stens will make the presentation.
Thank you. Again, Sarah Stunt, Senior Project Manager. This one's a little bit easier. So this is for the recommendation for the Board of Directors to authorize the President and CEO to execute a contract with Howard Companies for the value of $218,443.50 for the complete repaving and restriping of the north parking lot located at 1501 West Washington Street. So this is the front parking lot where most of our administrative staff and all of our visitors park. So over the years, it's begun to spall and crack, leaving uneven sections of asphalt. The goal for this project is for us to mill down the top 4 inches of that asphalt pavement and then place back with brand new asphalt, removing a few random boxes that are in the parking lot that don't serve us anymore, and then to restripe and repaint all the curbing there. And be happy to answer any questions on that one too.
Sarah, how long do we anticipate this to take?
So in our solicitation, we did tell the contractor of record that they have 30 days to own the parking lot, and we will find parking for our staff at the south lot for those 30 days. We've also worked with them to, we'll plan the work in the spring. It's not set yet. While they'll be under contract, they'll be due to start their work sometime between April and June. So we'll have a little bit of wiggle room around when works best for us as well. Yeah.
Sarah, does this include the where the law enforcement parks, that little strip there at the south front? So it's going to be the whole?
Yep, it'll be the visitor parking, all of that, and it'll include the whole portion of the front lot.
Okay, all right. So this isn't like a roadway where you've got to have issues about the base and all that.
No,
We're just going to take the asphalt off and replace the asphalt?
yes, we did some boring in the parking lot to make sure we didn't have any concerns with the base and found that it was in good shape. So the plan is to just mill the top and be able to put a new surface on. We did choose, however, to go 4 inches instead of the standard 1.5 in hopes that it'll elongate its life. So we won't have to do this again for a while.
You may not have an answer to this, but what is the useful life of something like that? Do you know?
I honestly, I don't know. I could pull a number, but I'd have to ask somebody who's a little bit more proficient in asphalt.
I just was wondering if it was years or decades or.
No, I years. I don't think it would be decades.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thanks, sir. You're so good. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. Let's see, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of north parking lot repaving contractor? There being a motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect there's unanimous yeas, and that will pass.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can sit down now. Action item A6 is next, and that's consideration of approval of AES Indiana Utility Relocation Reimbursement. And our Director of Capital Projects, Matt Duffy, will present. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, thank you. Good afternoon, Matt Duffy, Director of Capital Projects. It's recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to reimburse AES Indiana for utility relocation work on the Blue Line near the intersection of Maryland Street and West Street in an amount not to exceed $284,000. The Blue Line has been under construction for almost a year now. About 40% of the utility relocations are complete on the project. Earlier this year, following the change in administration at the state level, there was re-engaged efforts from stakeholders, particularly the state of Indiana's Department of Administration, which owns the parking garage just east of West Street between Maryland and Washington. There's a figure on the second page of this action item that you can reference here. as well as the Indianapolis Indians, who requested that we consider relocating the stations that were planned at West Street further to the west at Schumacher Way. Following these discussions, we directed the relocations to be paused and construction activity to be paused at those station locations. It just so happened that based on the schedule, those are the stations that were could be started construction initially by the Package B contractor that is building the stations. So the utilities were there, and they were planning to start construction there. They would have started by now at those station locations. IPTC engaged with the Federal Transit Administration, FTA's project development team to get their approval to relocate the station. We looked at the NEPA, which is the National Environmental Protection Act considerations, and we got that cleared on the project as well. And since then, have agreed to modify the station locations from West Street to Schumacher Way. So you can see on the map where the previous or current station locations are and where the proposed or revised station locations will be. Before this decision, AES had already started the relocations and had completed the bulk of the work, which makes this now reimbursable. We've reviewed guidelines for how the City of Indianapolis Department of Public Works would handle this situation, as well as the Indiana Department of Transportation. Both of them would reimburse under this situation. Funds for the relocation will come from the Blue Line contingency budget. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions from the board, comments?
Matt, so when we got into the discussions with the state and the baseball team, and we decided to pause this, didn't somebody just not tell AES? I mean,
we told them immediately. Unfortunately, they were already doing the work and already had
Oh, I
completed some of the work.
I see. So this,
So
before the decision was made, they had started doing the work based on the original?
because, yeah, so
Okay.
the way it works is the utility will submit a work plan identifying what the relocation work is and the timeline for that relocation. And they had already started that work.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood what I was reading. Now, I got just a quick question, because this is very hard for me to see. I tried expanding it on my tablet. So I guess the bus is going to come down Maryland and then go, it's going to have to go back up north, I guess, isn't it, to get to Schumacher Way, to get to the ballpark?
So in the downtown area, Maryland and Washington operate in one-way pairs.
Right.
So Maryland's one-way eastbound, Washington is one-way westbound. And so say if you're coming from the zoo and heading towards downtown eastbound, well, there's still separate station pairs
Okay,
at Schumacher, so it won't be a single station. It'll still be on the side of the street. So if you're heading east, it'll be right on your left.
right in front of the
heading
ballpark?
Right before the ballpark, yep,
Okay.
heading, and right by White River State Park.
Got
And
it,
by the
okay.
amphitheater. And then the opposite direction would be on the other side of the street here, which is technically Washington Street.
Okay.
So that's exactly where it splits to be Maryland and Washington right
Okay,
at
so
right
it's,
at that intersection.
okay, I got it. Okay, I can picture that in my mind now. All right, great. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments for Matt? All right. Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of AES Indiana utility relocation reimbursement?
So moved.
All those well, there's being a motion in a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Let the record reflect unanimous vote yea. It's approved. Thanks, Matt, for that. And then we go on to, you have another one here. Action item A7, that's consideration and approval of a professional services contract for BRT reliability study. And Matt, would you make that, please?
Thank you. Director of Capital Projects, Matt Duffy. It's recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to execute a contract with Parsons Transportation Group for an amount not to exceed $170,000 to perform a BRT reliability study. As you know, there have been two BRT projects that have opened up over the last 6 years. that include a variety of transit priority treatments, such as dedicated lanes, transit signal priority, level boarding, pre-board fare collection. This project's goal is to assess the BRT system management in order to improve daily operations. So it's to work with Indigo staff to develop, monitor key performance indicators, to evaluate the system against those KPIs, then look at some improvements, and then do a before and after study to compare those KPIs. And some of those improvements could be schedule modifications, training adjustments, transit signal priority. Those are some examples of things that might be adjusted in order to improve the system. And we're looking at reliability during certain times of day. Are there any increases in speed that we can realize over the course of the day? Maybe it's on the weekends, maybe it's during off-peak hours, but be able to have the data to make those adjustments in close coordination between multiple departments within the agency. So I'm excited about this study, and it will come from, be funded by the operating budget in 2025. It includes XBE participation totaling 24% from LSM Analytics, North Point Engineering, and Redemption Engineering. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions, comments for Matt? If not, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of a professional services contract for BRT reliability study?
So moved. Second.
There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Let the record reflect a unanimous vote to pass. One more time, Matt. And this is on the, let's see. Yeah, approval of a task order with Kimberly Horn and Associates for transit signal priority on the Purple Line.
Thank you. Matt Duffy, Director of Capital Projects. It's recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to execute a new task order with Kimberly Horn and Associates that includes the implementation of TSP at the specific intersection of Pendleton Pike and Post Road, which is on the Purple Line, for an amount not to exceed $64,000, bringing the new project total amount to $944,480. The original task order for the implementation of TSP on the Purple Line was approved by the board in August 2023. And the second change order was in an amount of $50,480. And that was executed in August 2024. And the reason that this is being brought to you for approval is because the sum of the previous task order and this task order exceeds the $100,000 amount requiring board approval for it. So this task order is specifically to implement TSP at the intersection of Pendleton Pike and Post Road, which we have not yet been able to implement TSP at. This is the only intersection that is controlled by the Indiana Department of Transportation. The rest of the signals are controlled by DPW, City of Indianapolis. And so there's the way that NDOT is using the signal is a little bit different than the way the city uses it. And so we had to look at alternate means to be able to implement priority there. So there's some investigation and testing and configuration that's required in order to do that. And the good thing is that this is not just, the intention here is not just to be utilized as one intersection. This approach will be used for any intersection where Indigo traverses that is controlled by the state. So most specifically the Blue Line, where there's about 8 to 10 intersections where we want to implement priority on the east side of the project on US 40. So this solution will be replicated in future implementations. It is budgeted through the Purple Line project budget. The DBE goal was 5% on the project. And although this task order does not have DBE participation, the contract utilization today is 6.3%. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions, comments?
No, I
permit?
I just answered my own question.
Okay.
State Road 67 is kind of the pike, right? Which is why NDOT controls.
Yes. Correct.
All right.
So how much more, we have 8 more, how much will each of those 8 be?
The good thing is that the bulk of this cost is in the development and testing here. So this is not going to be translated to a per intersection cost for future implementations. So the bulk of it is figuring out how to do it now, and then much easier to replicate in the future. Yeah.
Good question. All right. Anything else? Any other questions, comments? If not, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of a new task order with Kimley and Horn and Associates for transit signal priority on the Purple Line?
So move.
Second.
There being a motion, a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any that are opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect as a unanimous vote and passes. Thanks a lot, man. Next, we got action item A9, and that's consideration and approval of authorization to enter into software renewal with Hastis by Giro. Zero, okay. And our Chief of Operations Officer, Annette Darrow, will make that presentation.
Good afternoon, Annette Darrow, Chief Operations Officer, and I'm bringing forth the annual renewal for Hastis. It is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to enter into one-year contract with Hastis by Giro to provide the required licensing, maintenance, and cloud hosting and software support in an amount not to exceeding $368,380. The annual licensing fee is broken out for $202,852 for the licensing and the cloud hosting fee of $165,528. Indigo has been using Hastis since 2005 to basically run the operations portion of Indigo and the transportation that we see on the street. We have moved to the cloud in 2002, and the key modules that are integrated into this platform are used for planning, the scheduling of the routes, operator bidding, the daily operations where we manage all the payroll and changes that happen live on the street when we have to cover work, when people call off and all that. It produces our payroll for that. We have to comply with the rules for the collective bargaining agreement, so that's all built into it. So our payroll is pretty complicated for that area. It's not just the clock in and out of ADP. So there's that. And then also everything that we put into Hastis regarding schedules of the public, the buses, and the operators all get brought into our Hastis CAD AVL system. And so Hastis basically tells the CAD AVL system what it needs to do and what we're doing when we're driving down the street. And from there, all that information is pushed out to all of our apps and Google and everybody else, and every piece of data that we track to tell us how we're doing and also let our customers know how to use our service. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about this, but this is what we come back annually for this one. So I know you've heard it before, but.
Any questions, comments? I have a question.
Sure.
When it talks about the hosting on the cloud and at 165,000, what does that mean? I mean,
So we moved to the cloud in 2002. So basically Giro does everything for us now. So before we would have to have staff on site who need to know how to do certain things and functions to maintain it locally. So they do everything for us remotely, plus, so they host all the servers and all that, as well as the licensing for the number of users that we have allotted that can actually access the system from anywhere instead of having to be on site or VPN or whatever. So you can be remote if you need to. And we did that a lot during COVID for different things. So.
okay. Just curious. All right, anything else? Any other questions? Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of authorization to enter into software renewal with Hastis and Giro?
So moved.
There being a motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect there's a unanimous vote to approve.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Next, action item A10, and this is consideration approval of the purchase of 11 40-foot Gilly E-Gen Flex Hybrid buses for fixed route services. And the Director of our Fleet Services, Devon Smith.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's Devin Smith, Director of Fleet Services, and sorry for the a lot of words there. I'm going to struggle with it too. So the recommendation, it is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and Chief Executive Officer to purchase 11 40-foot Gillig low-floor E-Gen Flex hybrid buses for fixed route revenue service for a total not to exceed cost of $14,436,474, including all associated equipment, services, and a 3 to 15% contingency for tariffs. So a little bit of background on this. Next year, IPTC has projected that we will have about 16 buses aging out of service. So these buses would be there to replace those vehicles. This is a not to exceed cost, so the funds have already been set aside. We are still waiting for the final Gillig quote. So this number may go down. Right now with the 11 buses and the estimated cost of $1.1 million, puts us pretty close to that 11. So we may have to back that down to 10 buses, depending on what the quote comes back. There is some good news. We got off the call with Washington State recently, and Gillig seems to be holding firm on they're advocating for a 5% tariff increase not to exceed, and that has not gone into effect yet, so that may not even affect these vehicles going forward. We're still waiting to hear exactly how that fleshes out. And again, that also ties into how we're going to be paying for those vehicles. These will be going through the Washington State contract. The purchase is going to be used $8.7 million in MPO funds with a $5.7 million local Indigo match. And because there are no DBE goals for this, because transit vehicle manufacturers maintain their own programs. Are there any questions I can answer?
Questions, comments?
Just a point of, for me, just a point of clarification, Devin. I think you came before us maybe last month or the month before. Can you remind me of the difference between the two, or is this just a continuation of the replacement of fleet?
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. This is so this is more of just a service continuation project. The last time I came before you was for 2 battery electric buses, and that was for a trial program to see how those would operate on our fleet.
Thank you.
And when you were talking about the tariffs, you said 5 to 15%.
Correct. So this has been a fluctuating situation, and it goes through Washington State. Those have been proposed to us by the different OEMs. Washington State is working on an amendment to their contract to kind of lock in those tariffs because there's been a lot of concern. So currently, we're still waiting for New Flyer to agree to that numbers, but Gillig has agreed to a 3% for diesels and a 5% for all electric and hybrid buses, which this would fall under. And again, that contract has not been signed. They're waiting for Gillig. So right now, as Washington State would say, right now, we shouldn't pay any tariffs on vehicles because they're not in the contract with Washington State through which we are buying. However, the transit vehicle manufacturers could potentially hold up production if we didn't pay it. So there's some discrepancy right now that's getting worked out. But the good news is with Gillig is that they have basically said ours will not go over 5% if it even comes into effect.
And where are these manufactured?
Gillig is in California.
Okay, then explain to me why we're paying tariffs.
So I believe they're about 70% made in America. So those costs what trickle down to us. They're
They
passing
get
that
a lot
on.
of their parts from Canada.
Mhm.
I know. So we're paying the tariff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Canada's not paying them.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Devin, when we authorize this and we're jumping on to that other contract, when would we anticipate receiving or at least kind of locking in our order and then receiving?
Yeah, so locking in right now, again, we're waiting, well, the point of this is we'll encumber the PO because those funds are there. So, and then once we actually get the quote, then we can build the contract and the final PO with the vendor. Haven't gotten a firm date from Gillig yet, despite repeated attempts to get that information. However, I do know within the state of Washington contract, as soon as that PO is issued, they have 18 months from issue of the PO to make delivery of the vehicle. So we could be looking at these projected more into 2027. And that's when our battery electric vehicle from Gillig is expected to come in October of 27. So I would assume similar time frame for these vehicles.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Devin, so you said in the action memo that we had 16 buses that are aging out. And I recall, I think I recall having a conversation where we were looking at maybe extending some buses beyond their useful life to see if we could get, if it was worth doing that, you know, with the maintenance cost increase, and right? So is that why we're only replacing 10, or is it because we're only replacing 10 because, or 11 rather, because that's all the money we need?
There's two answers to that. So yes, that is all the money we have. Therefore, that is all that we're looking to purchase. 11, maybe 10. However, we are slightly overstrength right now on our size of our diesel fleet. And we're currently at 167, and the projected size based off the 20% spare ratio is 144. So it kind of dovetails nicely as we look to slowly bring our fleet size down to get better in line with what the federal recommendations are, but obviously do that slowly so we don't create shocks to the service, to the maintenance team. So even though it is monetary dictated, I think it's well within the strategy of where we're trying to put our fleet.
Excellent. Thank you. Great answer. Appreciate it.
Any other questions, comments for Devin? All right. Can I get a motion and for consideration and approval of the purchase of 11 40-foot Gillig E-Gen Flex hybrid buses for fixed route services?
So moved.
There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Let the record reflect unanimous vote and it's approved.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Devin. Next is consideration of approval of contract extension of STEP CG LLC for revenue service via wireless communications. And our Chief Information Officer, Marcus Burnside, will
Good
present.
afternoon. Marcus Burnside, Chief Information Officer for Indigo. It is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to approve the 2 optional years in the contract with STEP CG LLC for wireless vehicle communications in an amount not exceeding $188,000 for a total contracted amount not to exceed $979,677. IPTC has contracted STEP CG since December 2022 for mobile routers with cellular capabilities for our fleet. The current contract is expiring, and we are requesting to exercise the 2 optional years that are within the contract. IPTC has incurred $791,677 during the initial 3 years of the contract and is projected to spend $188,000 over the 2 optional years, totaling, again, $979,677. And finally, this project will be funded out of the information technology operating budget. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments for Marcus? Okay, thank you, Marcus. Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of a contract extension for STEP CG LLC for revenue service vehicle wireless communications?
So moved.
Second.
All those being a motion and a second, can all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? Show the record show that there's no nays and it passes unanimously. Thanks, Marcus. Action item A12 is consideration approval of a tow service contract with Hannah's Wrecker Services, Inc. and Director of Preventive Maintenance and Repairs, Thorino Blade. Balte, sorry, will present.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Cherno Balde. I'm here to present action item 12, A12. This is a recommendation for the board of directors to authorize the president and CEO to execute a 2-year towing service contract with HANA Towing, our record INC, in an amount not to exceed $257,800. For the background, we are operating 229 vehicles with all different technology, diesel, electric, and hybrids. So to maintain a safe and reliable services, we require a dependent towing provider to remove disabled vehicles due to mechanical breakdown, accident, and some other type of weather incidents. So our previous contractor was Zor Towing, and Zor Towing declined to extend its option year on the contract due to some inflationary pressure within the transportation industry those last years. And as a result, IPTC had to issue a new solicitation through like an electronic code process. So based on our data, historical data, IPTC fleet average is approximately 1 tow a day. And HANA service proposed a flat rate for $275 by tow for both 40 and 60 footers, regardless of the propulsion. So throughout a competitive procurement process, we found HANA Towing was at the best offer by offering the lowest towing cost by vehicle. So the impact of this contract will be through the approved vehicle maintenance operating budget. And there is no DB goal associated with this contract because the DB rule interim final effective October 3rd, 2025, all DB must be recertified. And currently there is no recertified DB available. So thank you, I'm available to answer if you have any questions.
Any questions, comments from the board? I assume, because in the information it says that we have about a tow a day. Is there a time requirement that from the time it's called in that we need towing, that they have to be there so we don't have a bus sitting all day waiting?
Exactly. We have around 45 to 1 hour, and 45 minutes to 1 hour response time, and we record that as they're doing it.
And how many tow trucks do they have that are big enough to accommodate us? Do you know?
So I don't have the number, but they have a lot of tows.
Okay,
We've been using them already right now, and they've been doing a good service for us, based case by case basis.
My family's been in the trucking business for many, many, many years, and that's always been a contention about giving out contracts like that, and then they don't show up for 5 or 6 hours, and you got a truck sitting there.
Yeah, we vet the truck around. We know them because sometimes we have to do like case by case basis. We know HANA has been doing a very good job around. They have a lot of trucks and high duty for our buses and include the articulated buses.
I assume in part of the RFP went out, there were
requirement to be compliant to that too.
I was assuming that, but I thought I better ask.
Yeah, we do have a requirement.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of a tow service contract with Hannah's Wrecker Service?
So moved.
There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect as unanimous vote to approve. Thank you. All right. So next we move to information items. And the first is I1, and that's our finance report from our CFO, Mr. Bart Brown.
Chairman, this is Bart Brown, CFO. This is our November 2025 financial summary. Under federal assistance revenue, we came in under budget for the month of $869,332. However, for the year, we were over budget, $504,660. Other operating revenue category is under budget for the month, $131,811. We are over budget by $4,599,000. And again, that $5 million of that was from DPW for their share of Blue Line costs. Unfortunately, passenger service revenue was under budget by $122,075 for last month, and for the year, we're under budget by $342,123. The PMTF grant that has been received for the year. Property tax revenue came in on budget for the month of November. It is over budget for the year, $1,981,000. And local income tax is on budget for the year. And then so is the service reimbursement program. Total revenue for the agency was under budget for the month of November by $1,123,219. And for the year, we are over budget $6,743,007. Turning to expenditures under personal services, fringe benefits were under budget for the month by $281,342. And year-to-date, it is under budget by $4,714,872. Overtime expenditures were over budget by $76,935. And I will tell you, that's the lowest number I've seen since I've been here, since 2019. So that's a positive trend. For the year, we're over budget $1,894,000. November salary expenditures are under budget by $350,201, and we're under budget for the year $4,211,276. Personnel services category under budget for the month $554,609, and for the year we're under budget $7,031,659. Other services and charges claims were over budget by $55,697 for the last month, and then for the year we are under budget $890,092. For the month of November, miscellaneous expenditures category is under budget by $29,617. And I do believe we're having our chair of the finance take a look at the format so we can start including some more detail under that category. And under budget for the year, $344,385. In November, purchase transportation category over budget by $10,266, and for the year it's over budget $602,736. And the services expense category was under budget by $1,023,000, year to date under budget by $12,031,000. And then finally, utility expenditures are under budget by $10,343, and for the year, utilities under budget $108,726. Overall, other service and charges category was over budget for the month, $997,151. Year to date, we're under budget $12,772,000. Finally, materials and supplies, fuel and lubricant category is under budget by $184,118, and year to date under budget by $1,644,000. Maintenance materials category was under budget last month, $33,046. It is over budget for the year, $19,948. Other materials and supplies was under budget, $76,239, and for the year, it's under budget, $901,826. And tools and tires and tubes category, under budget for November, $12,028, and for the year, under budget, $306,463. Then for total materials and supplies for November, under budget, $305,431, and under budget for the year, $2,832,000. Overall, total expenditures came under budget for November, $1,857,191, and year-to-date expenditures are under budget, $22,636,944. Under non-budget requests, there's nothing to report for last month, and just a couple of notes. Next month, and especially for our new board members, we won't report for the expenditures for December next month because we take 2 months to close out the year. So in February, we have a report for December and for the first month of next year. But in January, we have our annual Board of Finance, which will report out on our investments. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bart. Any questions from the board? Okay. Thank you, and your report will go into the record. Next, we got Matt. I think, is Matt up again? This is on cash contribution for 29th, 30th Street conversion project. presented by Matt Duffy.
Yep. Thank you, Matt Duffy, Director of Capital Projects. Back in May 2018, the board approved execution of an interlocal cooperation agreement with the City of Indianapolis Department of Public Works that largely dictated the terms for the financing, design, operations, maintenance, and construction of the Red Line, but it also included other projects that improve Indigo service. Local bus stop projects, transit signal priority, the downtown super stops projects, which was on Delaware Street. That was the first amendment to this ICA or interlocal cooperation agreement. And the second amendment was for the Michigan and New York two-way conversion project on the east side that recently finished construction earlier this fall. That was led by the DPW. This is the third amendment, which covers the 29th and 30th Street conversion project. This was, I should say that the cost was included in the original ICA, but this amendment memorializes the cost and finalizes the terms between the agencies for the design and construction of the project. So it's similar in scope to the two-way conversion project to Michigan and New York, just a different location, similar goals and intents. Indigo will operate two-way on 30th Street, and all the bus stops along the corridor will be fully ADA compliant. And we've had a chance to review that design and are pleased with that modification. This comes out of the 2026 operating budget that the contribution to the city for this project does. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Matt? Okay. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you.
Next is our Chief Legal Counsel, Robert Fry, and it's an annual election of board officers for 2026.
Good evening, Directors. Bob Fry, Chief Legal Officer. So at its meeting on January 16, 2025, the board updated its bylaws. And per those bylaws, the board is to annually elect from its membership a chair, a vice chair, a secretary, and a treasurer at its regular meeting held in February. Any board member may self-nominate or nominate another board member for an officer position, and a majority vote is sufficient to elect each board officer. No two board offices shall be held by the same person. An elected officer serves in office for 1 year or until the officer's successor is duly elected, unless the officer is removed from office by a majority vote of the board, resigns the office, or is no longer a member of the board. So when we updated the bylaws, we did not include a detailed election process. Rather, at the time, the board sort of left it to me to decide how we were going to do that as your parliamentarian. So I took a look at a couple of different officer election processes that are laid out in the Robert's Rules of Order. However, I don't think those really work for this board. One is floor nominations and the other is having a nominating committee. We're too small of a body, right? There's 7 of you. So that seemed a little overkill. So this is not all that different than what you did in the past. So I just kind of took what you did in the past and again, this is Robert's Rules and kind of modified it. So what I'm proposing with no objections, and I will say that I did share this with the executive committee, which is Chairman Hahn, Vice Chair Gardner, and Treasurer Wilson. And I really didn't get any no's from them, so I presume they're okay with it. But so the process would be, I'm going to email that to you after this meeting, sort of just a nomination form, real simple. I would ask you to send me any nominations you might have by January 9th at noon. And the reason for that date is that's the afternoon we finalize your agenda for your January meeting. Then at your January meeting, I'll announce who the nominees are to you, or I'll probably write an information memo like this. And then we'll hold the election at the February meeting. That sort of allows a month, if you all want to talk to each other, do some campaigning, however you want to handle that. And we'll hold the election at the February meeting. Again, small enough number of votes. I think we could do a ballot. We'll take a short recess. I'll go in the back room, tally them up, and come back out and announce the results. So that's what I'm proposing. I don't think you have to take any formal vote on that proposal unless somebody has an objection or you have some other alternative process you would like to propose, but that's what I'm proposing. And that's all I have, and I'll try to answer any questions. Oh, I guess one thing I would add, you could nominate a slate, right? Because you can self-nominate, nominate others. There's nothing to prevent you from, submitting a whole slate if you'd like for consideration. I think last year that's what ended up happening. We just had a slate, so there really wasn't much of an election other than just approving the slate. Obviously, if two members are nominated for the same position, then we'll have to have an election. So.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Well, this time that's the end of our agenda, and I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight. Also want to thank our staff and our employees for a great 2025. It's been a very big year with a lot going on, and a significant amount was accomplished with a lot of hard work. And we want to thank everyone at Indigo and on behalf of myself and the board for all of your efforts. Also, we'd like to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season, and everyone be safe and enjoy this special time of the year. And we look forward to 2026. So with that, we're adjourned.